We're going to start off this next section with a review of some identities. Now, the reason why we're focusing on these identities is because this chapter is very algebra heavy, and so we're going to be needing to use these a lot throughout the entire chapter. So what are the identities? Well, the first group of identities are the Pythagorean identities. So you might remember sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1. This was sort of the primary version, and then we've got the tangent squared plus 1 equals secant squared, and 1 plus cotangent squared equals cosecant squared. We got those by taking this and dividing it by either sine squared theta or cosine squared theta. This formula right here actually comes out of drawing a circle and using the formula for sine and cosine. Sine is y over r and cosine is x over r. And if you make the substitution, you get an equation for a circle of radius r. All of those things should be in the background when you see this. Now, when it comes to actually using it this chapter, we're not going to use the picture so much, but the picture is the foundation for how all this comes about. Next, we have the negative angle identities. So the negative angle identities, we've written all 6 out here, but they actually just stem from the first two, the sine theta and the cosine theta version. So sine theta is an odd function, which means that sine of negative theta is negative sine theta, and the cosine function is even. Cosine of negative theta equals cosine of theta. The rest of these can be derived from those by just writing down the relationships between these functions and the sine and cosine functions. And last, we have the reciprocal identities. We haven't actually labeled this as a group of identities before, but we've seen them enough. Basically, what they say is that each function has a reciprocal version of it. So sine is the reciprocal of cosecant, cosine is the reciprocal of secant, and tangent is the reciprocal of cotangent. And you can get these, again, by just taking the basic formulas for sine, writing these in terms of sine and cosine, and just writing it out and seeing what you get. And you can verify all of these identities. So these are the identities you're expected to know and be comfortable with as we go forward in this section.